Hello everyone, welcome to Try Academy. I am your host Ali. This is our fourth video on Next.js. In the last video, we learned the navigation and head component of Next.js. In this video, we are going to learn how to work with CSS. So without any further ado, let's get started. Those who are new to this video, in this tutorial series, we are making a blog in Next.js. Today, we are going to see how to work with CSS and how it goes with our blog. Next.js has built-in support for CSS and Sass. Tailwind CSS is also supported in Next.js. In this video, we will talk about how to write and import CSS in Next.js. I will also talk about Next.js built-in support for CSS modules and Sass. First off, let's explore our project. If you watched my previous tutorial, I have created this project using yarn create next app command. This command created a sample Next.js welcome page for us, actually a welcome project. This is the welcome page what we saw earlier in this course. If you look into this page has already some CSS code. Let's find out how they have done it. Now we are into our project. If we go to the pages index.js, the class name is dynamic, which is an object, and this styles object is imported like this fashion. Now if we go to this css file home.module.css, inside the styles folder home.module.css, here we can see we have some plain old css code. And inside this styles folder, we have another file called globals.css. And this file has some boilerplate CSS code. This code is commented by me earlier. So before getting into any CSS code, let's create a layout component which will act like a mother component for all of our component in our blog project. So for that, let's create a folder in our root directory and we call it components. Inside this components folder, let's create a file called layout.js. Let's create a React component. Anyway, I am using a VS Code extension here. So this is the extension I am using to autocomplete the React boilerplate code. Let's get back to our code. Let's make it capital letter. Basically, the layout component will be a container for our application. Now let's put a props here. Here I'm going to render the children. Let's go to the file we created earlier, the first post file inside our blog folder, the first post.js. Let's wrap all the HTML code by layout, and this layout is not imported in this file, so we have to import this layout like this. Import layout from components slash layout. So this is all for this file, but our web page will look like the same because we didn't add any CSS into anything as of now. Now let's add some CSS styles to our layout component. To do this, we'll use CSS modules. Let's create a file inside the components folder. Let's call it layout.module.css. This module.css is a rule in Next.js so that this chunk of CSS code will only work for this particular module. This is a Next.js tutorial. I'm not going to cover the CSS code. I'm just going to paste this CSS code. Here the code is for a container. Now let's go to the layout.js, and now we have to import the CSS file. Import styles from layout module.css. Now we have to put the class name like this, class name equal to curly braces, inside this curly braces styles dot container. So this container is this container. So let's go to the browser. It's working. In this tutorial, I am going to cover another thing. Remember earlier in this tutorial, we saw the global CSS file. So yes, besides the modular CSS, we can also define global CSS for our Next.js app. I'm going to paste boilerplate CSS code here. I'm saving the file. To use this global CSS, we have to follow a certain way. Look over here inside the pages folder, we have a file called underscore app.js. So basically this underscore app.js file has a app component, and this app component is a top level component which will be common across all the different pages. So look over here, the global CSS file is already imported here. So far we have only added a minimal React and CSS code just to illustrate the concepts such as CSS module. Before we move on, we will work with CSS a little bit more in the next video to polish our layout. So that's all for today. Thanks for watching. Please like the video and subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss the future tutorials. Don't forget to share your thoughts and suggestions in the comment section below. Peace.